Welcome to Beyond the Bar podcast, where justice meets recovery. I'm Devin Anderson, the host of this podcast, and I started it for a couple of reasons. I've been working in the criminal justice system or adjacent to it for the last 33 years. And I right now am working with a nonprofit called Justice Forward, where we help people in treatment courts. So the first reason I wanted to start this podcast was to make sure that everybody knows about treatment courts, how effective they are. They're in every jurisdiction in the United States. We have like 252, I think, in Texas alone. They help people with mental health issues, with substance use disorder, veterans, juveniles, all kinds of people. And instead of just jailing people, they're helping them so they don't go back to jail. So I want to raise awareness of that and how you get into these courts. And I'll be talking to people who've been through them, also people who've worked in them. But also, I'm a woman in long-term recovery. I have 16 years of sobriety. And one of the biggest pet peeves I have in this world is the stigma against a disease, a health issue. I have alcoholism in my family. I'm genetically predisposed to it. And sure enough, I drank for, I think I figured out today, 27 years. And I have 16 years sobriety. So someday I'm going to even those up. But I think the more we talk about issues, the less stigma there is. Everybody has it in their family, so let's all get over it, right? Let's celebrate when somebody goes and gets sober or goes to rehab. Let's celebrate if they find sobriety through whatever means. I just think it is ridiculous how people are condemned and how they kind of hide it. So we're not hiding it. I have another strong woman in recovery here today with me, Sydrena Tufts, and we were just talking about how we met. She's a drug court graduate from Houston, and you were not in the court that I was running, but you were in Judge Cosper's court.
Yes.
And I want to say about Judge Caprice Cosper, she brought drug courts to Houston. Her and her coordinator, Mary Covington, did all the research, got the government on board, got the funding for it, and started it. And you must have been, I'm not sure if you were one of the first, but pretty early on, right?
I was the second group
Oh
of
my gosh.
Star Drug Court. I came right after, I can't even think of her name now. That's crazy. But
It's okay.
yeah, I was in the second graduate class
Oh, that's
of
so
Star
cool.
Drug Court. Yeah,
Okay.
with Judge Cosper.
So you have how many years?
I have 18 years sobriety.
Continuous sobriety.
Yes, continuous.
How do you do that? How did you, I mean, that's amazing, honestly. Because I know it hadn't all been smooth.
No, it hasn't been smooth. I go to meetings.
You still go to meetings.
I still go to meetings. My first 5 years of sobriety, I did meetings in hospitals and institutions.
Mm-hmm.
So I got involved in service work my first 5 years because I thought it was important to let individuals know that were newly in sobriety that it works. You know, recovery does work,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to do some work as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, in order for treatment to be successful, I had to put in some work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got involved in my recovery. I got involved in my job. Matter of fact, Star Drug Court, Miss Mary Covington asked me, had I thought about being a recovery coach? And I was like, what is that? You know, and she said, well, they're doing some training. And she says, you know, I think you would be great for that. And I was like, okay. So I went through the training like right after I successfully graduated Star Drug Court.
Mm-hmm.
She called me and said that they're doing a training. It's a new training people to be recovery coaches. And I was like, okay. And so ever since I got that training, that was like a drive for me. I've been a recovery coach since 2013. I've also, you know, done some other things, but now I've been in the field for almost 11 years as a recovery coach, and now a peer recovery coach supervisor.
That is amazing. Why don't you
Yeah.
tell people what a recovery coach is?
So a recovery coach is an individual that, male or female, they support individuals that are struggling to, once they get into in recovery, to support them in their struggle, support them in their mental health, support them, to find employment, support them to find like sober living, just support them in every area of their life. Walk alongside of them. I can't even remember. I've gone to appointments with my peers
Yeah.
that I've worked with. I go to appointments with them. I go when they have to go to court. I go and support them in court. Just show up. That support is very important for an individual when they're newly in recovery, because a lot of us don't have that support.
Right.
And support is very important, especially after we've burnt bridges with our families, and they don't want to have anything to do with us.
Right.
They said, oh, you've said this before, but I want to see proof. I want to see some action. So an individual that doesn't have that support from family, me as a peer, I can give that support.
Yeah, you've brought up like so many things to me. Like I've learned, I think I started AA pretty recently. I'm on step 10, by the way. Hey, I'm almost there.
Woo.
And, but I did this without any community. Like, I don't know what I was doing. I was still around people drinking, my best friends, who I love.
Yes.
But like, I did not live my sobriety, and now I am. And I mean, community is such a big part of it, and having support. And so many people don't have families.
Right.
And the other thing you said, because you work at the Houston Recovery Center, which is Houston's sober center, basically,
Right.
where instead of taking people to jail, they get to go sleep it off, so it kind of clears out the jail, but it also connects them with services.
Right.
And people like you, because peer recovery, you have to be someone with lived experience.
Yes.
So now they have them in courts. And I know that I don't know if that, I don't know how great a job it is, but it sure is invaluable when you have somebody in the jail who's being offered, recovery.
Right.
But, you got to do 90 days lockdown treatment. And they're like, no, I'll just take my 90 days in the county,
Right.
But then
right,
you have
right.
a peer recovery person come in and say, you're screwing up, man. You've got to do this, or you're never going to get out of this,
Right.
horrible trap you're in. So y'all are doing God's work there. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I ended up, so Star Drug Court helped me in order for me to be able to like go back and work, which was just amazing for me to go and work alongside Mary Covington, Judge Brock Thomas in the Rick Court. It's like, man, I get to talk to people that are in a space where I once was. I
Right.
didn't see any way out until they introduced me to Star Drug Court. I didn't see actually ever being sober until they offered me that. And I was like, yes, it changed my life, And so for me to, after all that, be able to go in and work with those that once were a part of Star Drug Court was like just amazing.
Right.
To let people know, look, you have an opportunity. You have the support of people that you are afraid of. You finally have people rallying around you that want to see success in your life. It was just amazing to see that, and be a part of it and see people's lives change was just awesome for me.
Let me say a couple of things. One, she mentioned Mary Covington twice. And so Mary is Judge Cosper's coordinator who was with her from the beginning. And then she went on to manage all the specialty courts, treatment courts in Houston. And now she retired and works at Justice Forward with me.
Amazing.
She's our program coordinator. We love her. She's a rock star. She's like so well known in the treatment community. Amazing woman. And the other person you mentioned was Judge Brock Thomas, who we talked about in the last episode because he's the mental health court judge in Houston. but he also, I guess, presides over this docket called Rick Court, where all the possession cases go to in Harris County. Instead of going to
Yeah.
all the district courts, they go to him,
Yeah.
and the default is treatment.
Yes.
Like, it's not incarceration, it is you're going to get treatment, outpatient a lot of times. They also get what we call pretrial diversions, where if they finish it, they don't have a conviction. So it's like a win-win. It's like, do this program, you will not have a conviction at the end of it. And so you were a peer recovery coach in that court.
Right.
Yeah. That's
the
a
Rick
big,
Court,
high volume court.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Rick Court they are approaching it as in the peer recovery coach training in a holistic way. You know,
Yeah.
they're supporting the treatment, the mental health, the medical, the housing.
In the court.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
yes,
court. You know,
yes.
you have probation supporting you. It's like, oh man, from going to a mindset of I'm so tired of probation to saying, oh my God, my probation officer is awesome. She wants to see me change. You know,
Right.
the mental health, they want you to get, even if you don't have mental health, you know, but they want to address it if you do have it. So that helps in every area of your life for you to become successful.
Right.
You know, it's like Star Drug Court. When I went to Star Drug Court, I just have to say this. I was on my deathbed. Medically.
Really.
Yes. I was really sick
Oh.
when I went to Star Drug Court because I wasn't taking care of myself medically. And they helped me to have therapy that addressed my diagnosis with my physical health and as well as my addiction together.
Yeah.
So I had a therapist that helped me medically and with my treatment. You know, it's just like she addressed both together. You know, and so that really helped me to be able to live and say, okay, I want to live with this, with my diagnosis. You know, and I can share my diagnosis because it's no longer a secret for me because it helps me. I was diagnosed with HIV in 1992. And I was addicted, and that drove me deeper into my addiction, you know, because once I felt like, oh, I have this, I no longer want to live.
Right.
You know, and so when I got to Star Drug Court, I was sick because I hadn't taken medication in years. And
What year did you get to drug court?
I got to drug court in 2007.
Oh, a long time. You lived with it a long time.
Yeah, over 20 years.
Oh my God.
And so it's like I think I'm almost at 30 years
Wow.
of living with HIV, and it wasn't until being in Star Drug Court that I became healthy. It was like things changed for me. It was like a switch in my life to where it's like, okay, yes, I have this, but that doesn't define me.
No.
You know, the addiction no longer defines me.
Right.
I can now live. I can show other people that whatever you have, you can live and live life to the fullest.
Right.
Sometimes it throws curves in there, you know,
Yeah.
roadblocks, but
That's life.
that's
Right.
life, period. You know, even if you like, oh, I'm going to be late paying a bill.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Right.
I don't go get high because I can't pay this
Oh,
bill.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I say, okay, let me call them and let them know, hey, I'm going to be late paying this bill. You know, and I'm learning how to pay my bills on time. So now when I'm late, because I've been paying them on time, it's like, okay, we won't hold this against you. You know,
Yeah.
we just need you to set up this payment. So now when this date comes, the bill will be paid.
Right.
I no longer run away from situations like that.
Because you learned in treatment courts. And that's what I say. It's like I
Yes.
go speak at graduations, and, you know, the new people are in there because they
Yes.
have to go to the graduations. And I tell them, this is not a gotcha This is not people wanting you to fail or seeing if you screw up one way or
Right.
you get one positive, which is how it used to be.
Yeah.
Because I started prosecuting in 1992, and that's
Right.
how it was.
Yes.
But now it's like you have a whole team of people who want you to succeed, and they're
Yes.
going to help you with everything. Like
Yes.
you got help, you got medical help, you got
Medical.
psychological help,
Everything. Yes.
treatment. I mean, yes,
Yes.
everything. And
Mm-hmm.
we try, Justice Forward, we try to fill in and make it even better where people who come into the courts with nothing, we
Yeah.
try to make sure they have what everybody else has so they can have an equal chance at finishing it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But they're
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why I'm like, I wish everybody knew. That's why I'm doing this because I want
Yes.
everybody to know.
Yes.
So tell me, so you said you had HIV in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into the drug court? Like what precipitated you getting in?
So, I was on my eighth felony of a
Okay.
possession charge,
Okay.
and
All in Houston?
when all in Harris County, because I started using when I was 19. I
Okay.
started using cocaine, crack cocaine, when I was 19.
How did that start, by the way?
I was drinking at the age of 9. I have
Oh,
alcoholism in my family.
oh my
My
God.
grandfather, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather on both sides of my family, and so it's quite natural that somebody would become an
Oh,
addict,
of course.
and I became an alcoholic. It started off with, uh, family members saying when we have gatherings, "Can you go give me a beer?"
Mm-hmm.
Yes, open it and I take a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that after a little while, I started enjoying that, and to the point to where as I got older, I started having my own beer. My
Yeah.
family gave me permission, to get you a beer and go sit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you can't be with the adults, but go get you a beer and go sit down somewhere and
Wow.
watch TV or do something.
Yeah.
It's so that started off, and I was a full-fledged alcoholic by the time I was 18.
Oh my God.
To where I
Did you
didn't
finish school? Did you finish high
I
school?
did not finish
Okay.
school. I dropped out in the 11th grade and went back and got my GED
Oh,
because
good
I
for you.
found out by the time I was 18, I got pregnant. And so
Okay.
I had my
Okay.
first child at 18.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I did complete my GED.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
And then,
While you were an alcoholic.
yes, while I
Okay.
was an alcoholic, I did get
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
GED.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it went on from there. I was hanging with one of my friends I grew up with. She was off using crack cocaine for years, but she was at home with her parents, and I never really knew, that she was using, but she was always, because we grew up together, we went to church together
Mm-hmm.
when we were younger, but never knew she was using. And then one day she came and picked me up after I had my son, and we went to somebody's house, one of her friends' house, and I became curious. I'm like, what are y'all doing back
Mm-hmm.
there? They were in the back and I was in the front with my baby. And she was like, you want some? And I was like, yeah, I want to try it. And I tried it, and that was it.
And it was crack.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it was
because it's
crack cocaine, and I never looked back. It was just on from there.
because I always heard that, and I never knew if that was true or was it an urban legend that like if you smoked once, the
Yeah.
the high doesn't last that long,
No.
and
Don't
then
no.
but you immediately want it again.
Yes, because now that you've used, you're looking for that same feeling you got when you first used,
Mm-hmm.
and you never get that.
Never chasing it the rest of your time.
Chasing it the rest of your time, and you never get that feeling that you got when you first used it. Never, 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 never.
God,
Yeah, and so I used from crack cocaine from the age of 19 until I was 37.
really?
30, yeah, I got into, well, I was on and off,
Yeah.
because during that time, went to jail or whatever the case may be. That was the only time I was sober, when I was in jail, in and out.
What's the
And
most time you got? Like you said, you had 8, I think, felonies.
yes, the most time that I've had was Before this, I had 3 years sober. And right at my 3 years, I used again. Yeah.
Oh, I meant like what prison sentence you got. Was it
So,
like what was the biggest? And that was it when you were
so
three
my
years?
biggest sentence was 7 years. The most time I did was 2.5.
Yeah, because it's not
Yeah, it
aggravated.
is
Yeah.
all, but all together, with all the sentences that I've received, added it up. I did 8 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And were you always going to literally going to prison, or did you
Yes.
serve? I know some people serve it out in the county jail.
I served my first prison sentence in the county,
Mm-hmm.
and
Was that two?
my first time getting a possession charge, I they gave me 2 years TDC.
Mm-hmm.
That was my very first possession.
No,
Uh,
no chance of.
no chance of anything. They gave me 2 years, and I stayed in the Harris County, and they discharged me from Harris County.
What year was that? You remember?
That was in 1980, 84, I think, 83, 84.
That was before my time, but
Yeah,
that's shameful that you didn't even get a shot at treatment
right.
or not having a conviction.
Right. And I didn't even have any,
No
uh,
priors.
no substance. I just had
Oh,
paraphernalia.
the residue, crack pipe.
And they cleaned it out, and that's how I got the 2 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way it was back then. You
Mm-hmm.
go to jail, and I was like, I never even got a chance. But I looked at it from today, and I was like, well, I really wasn't ready then. So it it was like the beginning of me serving time up until I got to start drug court,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what changed my outlook on my addiction. Th- Today I was angry back then
Yeah.
because I was like, I never got the opportunities that some people have today.
Right.
If they only knew the opportunities that they have, because in the 80s, you were going straight to prison for paraphernalia,
Believe that.
for less than a gram, all of that going straight to prison. Never got an opportunity.
Well, by the time I started, it was you got a deferred adjudication, where you wouldn't have a conviction, but you got
Right.
one positive, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back on that and just go, God Almighty. I mean, it's just the ignorance of
Yeah.
addiction.
Yeah.
But since you're being so forthcoming, because I know that's how you are, we're the same. That's why we like each other because we talk the same way. I want to ask you something. Okay, you went to prison. You went to literally off somewhere. I assume Gatesville or someplace. That's where
Gatesville.
women. Yep. What is that really like? I just finished watching The Night of, which is like a super gritty account of Rikers, and I was thinking to myself, what is it really like in Texas? Because I visited witnesses in prison, but I don't know what it's like.
Right. Well,
If
when
you don't
it's
mind me asking.
for one in Gatesville, it's really hot. I mean, like really hot. So when it's hot, it's really hot, and when it's cold, it's freezing.
There's no air conditioning,
No,
no heater.
so Gatesville used to be a boys' home. Hilltop unit in Gatesville used to be a boys' home, and everything is concrete. The building, and of course, the bed that you sleep on is steel. And so it's hot
God.
on concrete. It's
Yeah.
built. They're very old buildings, and it's like totally. And we have to walk outside everywhere we go, out of our dorms, to go eat, to go get medication, to go to work, all that. If you're in school, there's buildings that you have to walk outside. We would have to, in the wintertime, we would have to walk in the snow.
And you had what kind of footwear? Like,
If you ordered some good boots off a commissary,
mm-hmm.
you'd have those, or some tennis shoes. But other than that, you would have the tennis shoes that they supplied, or steel toe boots that they supplied, and you would walk in those.
And
Yeah.
what'd you do to pass the time? Like, did you have jobs or did you go to school or?
I had a job in the garment factory. My first time there,
Was that optional or was that?
that's the job you received. First, I was on the whole squad. where you worked outside in the heat.
Oh, Lord.
And
In the gardens. Hoe, H-O-E.
no,
Oh,
no gardens. Whatever they decided for you to do that day, that's what you did. Yeah. Um, move rocks from one pile to another. Then we sometimes worked in the garden where we uh, picked vegetables. Some days we would just clean up, the grounds.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then I did that. And then I got a job change to the garment
So
factory.
that was inside.
Yeah, that was inside in the AC. That's
That was
why
that was air conditioning?
that the air condition was in the garment factory only and in school, the education building.
So why do you think that is? Were the machines hot in the garment factory or?
Well, you have staff members from outside.
Oh.
So the staff members, they had to have AC in order to work.
Hmm.
So in the garment factory, the department I worked in, I made officers' uniforms.
Okay.
But luckily for me, I already knew how to sew because my mom taught me how to sew when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
My mom used to make me, myself, my dad, and her clothing. So everywhere we would go, we would always match some type of way.
Oh.
Yeah. So
My mom did that too.
my mom taught me how to sew when I
Yeah.
was little, and
I
so
knew how to
when
too.
I got to the garment factory, I knew it was like my boss showed me, and I was like on from there.
Yeah.
And she showed me like one time, and that was it. And then she had me moving from machine to machine because she realized that I could sew, and so she didn't have any problems with me, and that was how I passed the time.
That's good.
You know,
I guess.
I went to church,
Mm-hmm.
and I signed up for school, and so I did construction. I learned construction. When I first got locked up, construction carpentry. I learned that in my first time in TDC.
So
Yeah.
the first time you went or any time you went, did you ever feel like you were in danger in in prison?
Yes, because there was people. Even though it was all women's prisons, they still fight. People get stabbed or whatever, and the things that you see on TV, you think that that's the way it is, um, but it's not that bad. But what is bad is receiving medical care.
Hmm. That there isn't any?
There
Very
is
little?
there is medical care, but you always have to fill out a form for medical, even
Mm-hmm.
if you have an emergency. That's the only way that you would be seen immediately if you had an emergency. Yeah.
So when did you find out that you had HIV? I know I'm kind of all over the place, but
I found out, so during my addiction, I found out
yeah,
I was
92.
getting sick a lot. And so, being homeless, using, I went to this clinic one day, and I would always go there to get myself checked out, because of the lifestyle I was living.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would always go there. And one day they asked me, did I want to take an HIV test? And I said yes, because of all the things that I had been doing. And so, yes, I did. And they told me to come back in 2 weeks. The results would be in. And when I went back, that's when I got the results.
Did that change anything about how you were living at all for
Yeah,
you?
it took me in a downward spiral because I wasn't educated about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know. And what I did know is that people were dying from it because back then there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of medication. There were only like 2 medications.
You said 92, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that I knew that was positive, they had passed away. People in my church, people that I knew growing up, the medication wasn't. There was only 2 medications, and so back then when you first found out, you had to take like 15 pills a day.
Right, right.
And so I was always sick. And so I just stopped taking the medication because I was like, I feel worse than I did before I started taking it.
Do you know how you got it? Do you have any idea, or did you get mad about? I mean,
No, I know, but I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
But I have an idea. You know, the person that I think that I contracted it from, he's now in a wheelchair today.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I don't,
And then you just mentioned just kind of that you were homeless. How long were you homeless for?
Yes, I was homeless for uh, on and off for 20 years. You know, living on the streets of Houston, living in abandoned homes, staying with other people, but only because I brought drugs to the house that I could stay.
Mm-hmm.
I could spend the night, but the next day, I had to leave. And so that's how I survived. If I made enough money prostituting, I would get me a hotel, stay in a hotel, all those things. And, it was a revolving thing. Just same old thing every day, surviving, trying to make enough money to not be in a hotel because I didn't want to go home because I was addicted.
Yeah.
And I knew I would only stay there for a little while. And when I would go to my mom's house, I would always have the idea to take something because I needed to support my habit. And so instead of me
Oh, steal something, you mean?
steal,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
steal something from my mom,
Yeah.
and I did one time, and I felt so bad. I stole a check from my mother and wrote a check with her name, signed my name, and I signed her name. And that she gave me, she wrote this check to me or whatever, and I signed it, and I used her ID and my ID. And I was walking down the street one day, and my mom drove by, and she called me out my name, and she says, "Give me my driver's license back."
Oh.
And I felt this small,
Mm.
because
It's
I'd
such a,
always hear about people taking from their families, and I never wanted to do that.
yeah.
And so I never did it again.
Oh,
But I
Sydrena.
supported my habit, just prostituting,
However you could. I mean,
however I could.
and that's very.
If I'd sell drugs sometimes to support my habit,
Mhm.
I did.
I don't think people understand the grip. It's not just physical, and that's
Right.
bad enough, right? Because you're
Yeah.
hurting, but it's
Mhm.
mental. It's everything.
It's everything.
It's your world.
Yeah. You want to do something different. You want to stop, but
Yeah.
you can't stop.
God.
Until I never had the desire to get sober until I was sitting in jail the last time, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen this time, God, but I really want some help. I need help, and I can't do this by myself. I
Mhm.
need help, and that's when they offered me Star Drug Court, and they offered me 18 months state jail or Star Drug Court. And I remember this lady in there with us. She says, "Don't you take that. Don't you take that Star Drug Court." I told her, "You need to be quiet because
Mhm.
I need some help right now.
Yeah.
And if this is if this is the way I'm getting it, then so be it." And when the lawyer came in, Mr. Michelle Beck,
Oh,
she was my lawyer.
he's one of my favorite people.
And she came in and she said, she called my name and I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "This is what they're offering you. 18 months state jail or Star Drug Court." And I said, "Star Drug Court, what is that?" And she said, "It's a 4-year deferred adjudication, but there are a lot of stipulations." I say, "I don't care. I'll take it." She says, "But you got to go to treatment." I said, "I'll take it. That's what I need." It was like I knew I was on the right track.
Where'd you go?
I went to Omega Alpha in San Leon, Texas.
Oh, wow.
And when I got there, it was like, I'm here. There was water. We were like 2 blocks away from the water.
Mm-hmm.
But right across the street from us was a trailer park and people were using. And I would always go to that door and look out. They said, "But you can't go out this front door. Clients have to go out the back." And one day I was standing at the door and just looking out. And there was a little plaque up above the door. And I looked up there. I had been there for like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And I looked up there and it says, angels are here. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in the right place. I'm in the right place. And that place changed my life. And I've never been the same. And then I had Miss Lily for my counselor. And Miss Lily, oh my God. And when I told her about me being positive and how long I had been using, and when I would see her once a week, she would always tell me. The first week she told me, she said, Sydrena, it's okay to be you. I said, I don't know what that looks like. And she said, but it's okay to be Sydrena. You've been someone else for all these years. Now it's time for you to be Sydrena. And I said, but I don't know how to do that, but it changed my life. She changed my life. And then since I've been sober, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, I saw Miss Lily, my counselor, and she says, I was working at Alma part-time, and she says, do you have a spoon? I said, I don't think so, because I was in my office and I was working. And she said, do you have a spoon? And I said, I looked at her and I was like, Miss Lily? And she said, yes. And I said, do you know who I am? She says, no. And I said, you were my counselor in Omega Alpha. And she looked at me and she was like, oh my God. I said, this is, she says, what's your name? I said, Sydrena. And I said, one thing I always remember you told me, that it's okay to be Sydrena. And I've been living by that ever since. Even in my mistakes and my flaws, it's still okay to be myself, and be me and live with what I have, and that it doesn't define me, And so those things I remember, it's just those things just changed my life of the person that I am today.
And now,
yeah, I've gone back to school. Yeah. I've gotten my associate's degree since I've been sober. The end of August, I will have my bachelor's.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I am so excited, because it was like those things I was afraid of.
And you have a job.
And I have a job.
And you help other people, and they're all saying, Miss Sydrena.
And they're saying,
I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Miss Sydrena helped Miss Sydrena. And I'm like, Miss Sydrena, yes, Miss Sydrena. I was like, man, it's just amazing.
And you're married?
I am married. I'm married to my first husband. I remarried my first husband.
Really?
We married though in my addiction when when my oldest son was 3 years old. We got married and we stayed married 9 years, but we separated like after 6 months. We separated because I was in my addiction and I left. And we hadn't seen each other. Hadn't seen each other for 26 years.
Oh my gosh.
26 years. My oldest son is his son. And now we have been married. We just celebrated 3 years of marriage.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. And it's, God brought me back to where I was supposed to be all along. But I've been through some marriages where I've had to fight. I've had to deal with my spouse relapsing.
While you were sober?
While I was sober.
Oh, man.
And I've even had to go to jail because I wanted to kill him. Yeah. I received a deadly conduct. Oh, but Miss Deborah
Kaiser,
chairman
of our board,
chairman of the board, helped me get 9 months deferred probation with a dismissal.
Nice.
And so I did everything I was supposed to do in 7 months, and I got dismissed.
I'm sure you did. They get a choice. What would you say to them? You get a choice between this jail or a treatment court.
If an individual, I would say to an individual, if you have a choice on the table of state jail TDC or Star Drug Court. Quite naturally, I know, and this is what I said to God, if I do the 18 months, I know when I get out, I'm going to use again. And then what happens once I use again? I end up right back where I am today with another choice on the table. But that choice may not be two options. It will be one option because I'm a habitual felon, and so it's like, do I want to change my life or do I want to keep living the same? I suggest you work towards changing your life because Star Drug Court will support you in whatever you need. So my suggestion is you take a chance on doing something different. Because if you check your track record, you've been doing the same already all your life. Yeah. And so nothing has changed. Right. When we end up right back in the same spot. Behind the window where a lawyer is coming to talk to you and they give you these choices. And which one do you decide? So why keep doing the same thing over and expecting different results? Right. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Right.
That's right. Man, I thank you so much. This just flew by. I swear. You're amazing. And I already knew that, but it's just, you're such an inspiration and such a strong woman. And God, you've had a rough time. And you are just on the other side. You're seriously, an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope y'all got all of that out of it that I got out of it. I got a ton out of it. And if you have any comments, please comment. If you have any suggestions, let me know. We have beyondthebartx@gmail if you want to email me. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. So if you have any feedback, let me know. And just remember, like she said, you're the only one who can change, and there's a lot of help out there. You don't have to do it alone.